you know, I've always been okay in the air. I've got a little bit of a leap on me, and as Teddy Bishop ripped it in, I just got the timing was there. I just got the leap a little bit ahead of the defender, and once I was in the air, I just kind of got to lean on him and put it in. But yeah, it's one of my favourite goals in my career, to be honest with you.
Hey guys, it's producer Ross here, and welcome back to another edition of Ross Meets, the series where I catch up with former Town players to talk about their careers, from the ups to the downs and everything in between. And here we are, the 12th edition of the series so far, my favourite number, and I hope you all are keeping safe and well, and I hope you've all enjoyed the episode so far. It's been a pleasure to bring you these. I want to say a big thank you to everybody who's listened to the previous episodes. It's been great and great fun doing these, talking to former players, and hopefully I'll be bringing a favourite player of yours very soon. But yes, I normally ramble on with these intros, so we're going to get right to the point and let's get stuck into an interview. Today I'm joined by former Town midfielder Jay Tabb, and it's a pleasure to chat to Jay about his career as a whole and of course his time at Portman Road. We spoke about different aspects of his career, from his early days at Brentford for making a name for himself at Coventry and Reading, and of course his time at Portman Road, initially on loan before joining permanently under Mick McCarthy. And it was just great chatting to him about his memories at Portman Road, from that playoff season to that goal against Middlesbrough where he somehow beat a 6'5" defender and headed it in. It was just great chatting to him about that, and what he's been up to, of course, since his retirement. He left Ipswich Town, then retired from football, and he turned up to play rugby, and now he's a stable lad, and he made an appearance at Cheltenham this year, and it was really interesting when he came up on TV and he was like, "Is that Jay Tabb?" And it was. And it was just great chatting to him about what he's been doing since his retirement from that. And of course, he's a good golfer. So we spoke much about his golfing and his other stuff, other hobbies that he likes. But it was a pleasure to speak to Jay. He was a pleasure to chat to. I hope you guys enjoy it. As you know, I ramble on as always. So a big thank you to Jay for speaking to me. And yeah, let's get right into it. Okay, well, Jay, you know, did you always want to become a footballer? Is that always what you wanted to do when you were a kid?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, when I was younger, I was obsessed with it, like a lot of youngsters are. Like always watching it and wanting to play any opportunity I could. And I used to be, I did quite well when I was younger. And in the playground and playing with mates, I was always looked like I was pretty good. So that's what I was always wanting to do. And even if I used to go and watch my dad play rugby, I'd always be cooking football about. So I think it's quite clear from an early age that football was what my passion was.
You, of course, grew up in London, so you know I'm sure there's multiple teams you could have played for during your early days. You know, did you join a juniors team or did you play for a youth team there?
No, when I was growing up in kind of Tooting, that's where I grew up, and it was like kind of playing in arranged school stuff. Okay. I didn't join a team until I was probably 10ish. So yeah, when I was really young, it was just like playing in school and playing in the playground and playing for school teams. And I remember playing like five-side that kind of competition for school. It wasn't until I moved over to moved out of Tooting, moved to Moxford Park, and that's when I started playing for the kind of little league teams over there on Saturday mornings, and then that kind of gradually built up into playing on Sundays as well. Before I got scouted by West Ham, and that's the first team that scouted me to go and train for their centre of excellence.
How was your time there at West Ham? Of course, you then joined Crystal Palace, but you know, back then, you know, as a kid, you know, was that something you wanted to hopefully progress to become a professional?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, I loved it. Yeah, it was really good fun. It's a good club to be at. It was quite far from home, so the travelling there for training took its toll, really. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was a great place to start, and Crystal Palace, their kind of training centre was just that bit closer to home, so that's why it was easy just to, especially when you're that young, like moving club doesn't really matter that much. It's not a big deal, so moving to Crystal Palace was always going to be easier on my mum and dad to get me to training after school and stuff like that.
Who was what was the team you were supporting back then? You know, who were?
Massive Chelsea fan. I was obsessed with Chelsea when I was a kid. Yeah, really into them days, Dennis Wise and players like that. Yeah, I was hooked on Chelsea. They're the team I loved. Yeah.
Then you of course were at Crystal Palace, and unfortunately were released back then. You know, because you were being deemed too short to play professional football. How did that sort of affect you as a young lad?
It did, yeah. It affected me quite a lot, really, because I think I was 15, and you think, that's what you're going to be doing. You're joining, like, getting a YTS at a club, and then when you're told you're not going to get one, it does break your heart, really, because you doubt yourself and you question whether you're good enough. And yeah, it really did hit me hard. I remember crying my eyes out in the car park and not expecting it to happen. You just think that, that's it. I'm going to be a youth team player here, but it didn't happen. And I was lucky that my my youth team manager at Crystal Palace, was a guy called Jay Tabb, and he left there just before I did, and he went to Brentford. So straight away I called him up, and luckily enough I went to Brentford and got a trial there, and that's where I got my YTS.
How was the experience there? Were you studying anything else as well during that time? Just in case you didn't.
Yeah, it was. I think we did it would be a whole team and class, like the whole team would do kind of class lessons. It'd only be once or twice a week, really, and we wouldn't be going into a college or a school to do it. It'd all be at the football club. They'd kind of make a classroom up there, but you'd do it as you're in your own age group. And I think we all did like a sports science lesson there, and it was okay. I mean, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't the same as going to college or anything like that, but I think a few of the lads have used it since then, so it served its purpose for sure.
As of course, Brentford is where you sort of progressed as a player. Steve Coppell, you had him at Reading as well, but what was he like at an early age? Stuff like that.
Yeah, he was really good. He was at Crystal Palace as well when I was there as a junior. He was in charge of I think he was first team manager there as well, so I kind of knew him a bit. And then obviously went to Brentford, and he was good again. I was in the youth team most of the time, but a couple of times he'd get me up to train with the first team and stuff like that. So he was really good to me, and he's a good manager. He wouldn't say much, but when he did give you some advice or stuff like that, he'd be great at what he said. And yeah, I'm very lucky to him, because then he signed me at Reading as well, so he's been a big influence in my career.
Yeah. Of course, a player that you played with at Ipswich as well at the time, Stephen Hunt, was there as well as a young lad as well. What was memories with him?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Hunty, he was in the first team at Brentford before I really broke into it, really. But yeah, again, he was another one. I was a bit younger than him, so I knew him, and obviously when I was training with the first team, we got on well and stuff like that. But he was doing well in the first team while I was still like a youth team player, really. So we never really played loads together in that first team at Brentford. But when we did, it was great fun.
Yeah, and then of course during your time there, you suffered playoff defeat a few times, and
yeah.
You're Player of the Year there as well. What's your big memories from your time at Brentford and stuff?
Yeah, Brentford's a massive club in my career, and it's always going to be close to my heart. It's the club that gave me my chance and where it all started as a professional, really. And to say I had some really good times there. Avoided relegation one year, and then after that it was success and getting into the playoffs. And yeah, unfortunately we never went up, but I always remember the time there fondly, and a couple of times we probably shouldn't have even been in the playoffs. We should have got promoted automatically, but yeah, it was a great club. I got on really well with the fans. I think it was probably one of my most kind of productive spells in my career, where I had influence on games and stuff like that, and could be a big part of the team. And yeah, I actually really enjoyed it, and would always look back on the time at Brentford really fondly.
You must have enjoyed seeing their success, when they're now back in the Championship now, after a few years in the lower leagues, and then they had that great rise coming back, and that must have been a great experience playing against them for Ipswich, seeing Brentford now in the Championship, and that year when we got in the playoffs and they got in there as well.
Yeah, exactly. It was good. It took me ages. When I left Brentford, it had been years and years since I actually got to go back there and play. Yeah. And the first time was for Ipswich on Boxing Day. Went back there, and luckily we won 4-2, so it was a good day. But yeah, I'd always wanted to go back there and play, because it'd been ages since I'd been there. So, and to see them doing well is great. It's what they kind of deserve. Let's say the whole time I was there, we just missed out on getting promoted to the Championship a few times. So to see them up there, and obviously a well-established Championship team now, and hopefully they can make that next step up into the Premiership as well.
Yeah, they got they're moving away from Griffin Park, aren't they, and going to that new stadium. I did love Griffin Park. I thought that was a great sort of old school stadium, but I think for a lot of clubs, if you want to progress, sometimes you got to move away. Yeah,
exactly. It's the kind of way forward now, isn't it? A lot of clubs do it, and it's really hard to recreate that buzz that you get from playing in an old school stadium, the atmosphere and stuff like that. But I think clubs need to do it now to survive, and I'm sure when Brentford move, it'll be the stadium. It'll be a nice place, and they'll see Griffin Park off well as well. But yeah, it's a shame, because I love playing at the old grounds, but most clubs are having to do that now, having to move.
Yeah. Then on to your next stop, Coventry. Did you feel that was going to be the next move for you, in terms of you weren't able to get Brentford up to the Championship? Did you feel like to progress your career you had to move on and stuff?
Yeah, exactly. That's what it was, really. I was 22 at the time and had a couple of cracks at getting promoted to Brentford, and it didn't quite work out. So I was available on the Bosman, I think it was, and and Coventry showed the interest, and I went up there to have a look around, and it's a great setup, nice training ground, really good stadium, and Coventry a big club, and then for them to show interest in me was quite flattering, really. So it was a good club to join.
Of course, that first season, you had Mickey Adams, I think, in charge, and Ian Dowie came in. What was, under management of them two?
Yeah, it's really good. So I've been, in my whole career, I've been really lucky to manage the work. They've all been good, and I've learned a lot from all of them. And it's the same with those two there. Yeah, like Mickey Adams was a good man. He signed me and gave me my chance there. And then when we were struggling a little bit, Ian Dowie came in, and he loves football, and he's a good coach as well. So I learned a lot from both of them. Yeah.
Then, of course, Chris Coleman came in. He's gone on to do very well for himself. Definitely for Wales, but he's sort of. I don't know if was he at Fulham before Coventry, or was it? I think
he was. Yeah. He's really not another fair manager, and I got on really well with him. And I remember before I signed for Reading, he called me in. He was like, "Look, I think we were playing at home that day," and he said, "Oh, I think look, someone's coming in for you, and you're probably going to be gone by Monday. But so if you don't want to play today, then you don't have to. But it'd be good if you did." So I was like, "No, I want to play, obviously," and played. And I think he respected me for playing because I could have got injured. But he was good for him to come up to me and say to me, "Oh yeah, do you want to play or not?" And we always got on really well. Whenever I've seen him since, we've always had to chat as well. So he's a good manager, and I liked him a lot.
Yeah, of course, Matt Coventry, player of the year as well. Escape relegation. That must have been a good thing.
Yeah, I really enjoyed playing at Coventry. It's a lovely stadium, and every season we'd start well and be in the playoffs, and then it just kind of fall away a bit towards the end. But so I played with a lot of good players there, and some of the players get sold, and it just kind of failed to really build up into a kind of team that was going to be challenged at the top half of the table. But again, I was lucky enough to get Player of the Year. Really enjoyed it, and it was just like them fine lines, but it just kind of stopped us from being a team that was challenging for promotion. Yeah.
Then, as you said, you feel like your next move was one of your biggest ones with Reading. Again reuniting with Steve Coppell. Was that an easy decision when they came in, or was there other clubs looking at you?
Yeah, no, it was. I was a little bit homesick. I was living up in the Midlands, and I did want to get back to London, closer to London, to be near my family. And in January, I knew that Reading and Wolves were both looking at me, and they were first and second in the Championship. So purely based on Reading being closer to London, and I had people at Reading I knew as well. It made the decision quite easy, really. And so I signed there in January when they were second in the league, and then our kind of form dipped a little bit, and we ended up in the playoffs that season, which was a shame because I thought they were going to be up at bank for promotion.
Of course, you lost in the semis of the playoffs, but then, it's sort of the next season, you of course reached to the final, I think, the next time, and Brendan Rodgers came in, Brian McDermott as well. What was Brendan Rodgers like? He's gone on to have a really good management career.
Yeah, again, so Steve Coppell signed me there, then Brendan Rodgers took over, and then Brian McDermott as well. And again, all good people, all good managers, and get to learn a lot from them. Different approaches to the game and the different way they are with players and training sessions and stuff like that. But obviously Brendan's been very successful and managed at top level as well. So it was good. It was good to work under those managers, and again, success, like kind of a couple of playoff campaigns with Reading as well. And I think any season you get into the playoffs, you can always, even if you don't go up, you can always say it's been a successful season because it's hard to get there, and it's always better to be fighting at the top of the league than the bottom, really.
Before we go on to helping Reading get promoted, we're going to talk about the playoff final defeat and being sent off as an unused sub. That must have been a strange thing to happen.
Yeah, really strange, because I'm usually quite a calm person, especially I always try and take things in my stride, and I've been fine all season, but I think it was the occasion got to me really that year, and I was sub, and I think we were 3-0 down at half time, the ref had given them 2 penalties, and just wasn't giving us anything, and it was a bit unfair. It was quite obvious from the side that it was going terribly wrong, and I remember walking at half time, and our assistant Nigel Gibbs just said to the ref, "Come on, you're going to have to even this up, you're giving us no chance," and he was just a bit arrogant, and I had a pop at him, and he didn't like it, and told me, he said to me that if you say that to me again, I'm going to send you off, and my head was gone, so I said it to him again, and he did actually send me off, and I couldn't believe it really. You never expect to get sent off as a substitute, so but it's just one of those things you look back, you laugh at now, but at the time it was a bit irresponsible, and not something you shouldn't be doing, especially you've got young supporters kind of watching the game. They shouldn't be seeing that really, but yes, I kind of laugh at it now, but at the time it was a bit embarrassing. Yeah,
what was the aftermath like about it? Because you lost, and then you also got sent off.
You know what, it was, everyone was so disappointed at losing, and obviously not getting promoted, that it kind of got forgotten a bit really. It was the last game of the season, so we all kind of left the next day on a holiday, so nothing was really said about it. So, but the manager, I don't think he said much to me. I think I got a little fine, and also I was banned for 3 games at the start of the next season. But yeah, it wasn't a big deal made of it, that's for sure. Yeah.
Then of course got promoted. What do you think that was? The behind that, you finished second. a lot of points again that season. What was the story behind all that? Do you reckon?
Yeah, we actually won the league that year. We got promoted. It was it was
Sorry.
unreal.
Look at my wrong facts. Ignore me.
Yeah, no, it's right. Yeah, it was an amazing season. I remember at Christmas time we just lost in the FA Cup, and I think we were like sixth from bottom or something like that. So we were looking over our shoulder. We definitely weren't thinking about promotion. And then we just won an amazing run after Christmas. We won 17 of 19 games, and won the league. It was unreal, really, because none of us really expected it at Christmas time. But I think we signed Jason Roberts in the transfer window, and he came in and scored loads of goals, and we just had one of those runs, which was a dream come true. And I remember the night we got promoted. It was amazing, and then to actually go on and complete it and win the league as well was definitely the highlight of my career.
Yeah. Of course, now you've made it. You're in the Premier League, and what was sort of said to you during that time? Because of course now in the Premier League, you feel like the manager was going to bring in a few more players just to strengthen the squad. What was sort of said?
Yeah, I mean, I was even in the season we got promoted. I wasn't first choice midfielder. I played a lot of games, but I wasn't the first choice. And when you get promoted, that you're probably not going to be the star player on the team. And I think Brian said to me a couple of times that I could at the start, that we wouldn't bring players in. But I think we had a few injuries and suspensions as well. So I was always kind of travelling and in and around the squad and sub. And then I got my chance and I played, I think, 12 games in a row or something like that. So I definitely got my taste of it. And then after that, I think we signed a couple of players in the January transfer window, and then I did move down the pecking order. So it was a great experience to play Premiership football, but I say it wasn't a full season. And but yeah, the games I did play, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's great to be involved in it.
Yeah, I want to bring one game you were involved in for Reading quickly. It's the Arsenal game. Remember that?
Yeah.
What a crazy game that was! What a night in the League Cup.
Yeah, you never think you'd be involved in a game like that. It was heartbreaking, really, because you're 4-0 up and flying, and you think that's it. We're gonna win this game, and then they grabbed one goal just before half time, which actually did change the kind of the way the game was going. You wouldn't have thought it being 4-0 up, but it did change the whole outlook in the game, and went to extra time, and they ended up winning 7-5. So it was a nightmare, really. But I had a lot of friends who were Arsenal fans, and they loved it. And you look back on it now and again, when sometimes the highlights come on TV and you watch it, and you think, it's a good game to be involved in.
What was the dressing room like after that game? You must think, how have we blown that? But Arsenal.
Pretty much, that sums it up. Yeah, everyone was just sitting there, just shell shocked, really. I think we were all gutted. Not a lot was said. You're missing out on the chance of beating one of the best teams in the country, and you kind of blow it, really. Which when you're 4-0 up and you don't win, you have blown it. So I think not a lot was said that day, and then we just. Even though because it was a cup game, our focus that season was obviously on staying up in the Premier League. So as disappointed as you are at the time, afterwards you kind of concentrate on the league and trying to stay up.
I think the next time Arsenal and Reading played, I think it was 5-2 or something like that again. I think they have a big scoreline. I think in the league.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I remember that one as well. Yeah. They're obviously two teams that when they play each other, the goals come. But Arsenal, they pass it around and they move it really well, don't they? So they're always going to create chances. So, it's always said that the teams I played against that year, it was always really good experiences. I played against Everton, Man United, Arsenal, good big clubs. So it was a proud moment of my career to say that I played in the Premier League.
Yeah. Then your next move, of course, was to Town on loan.
Yeah.
At first, was there any other clubs you were maybe possibly going out on loan? Did Brian at the time as manager, did he say maybe go out on loan and get some game time?
I remember him kind of saying that I could go out on loan if I wanted to. I wasn't desperate to go out on loan. I was kind of, because it wasn't that far from the end of the season, really. So I was like, look, if something comes up, great. And I remember Mick McCarthy ringing me and saying, look, we think we're going to stay up, but it's going to be a bit of a fight. But we're turning it around, and we want you to come along. And I was playing golf at the time, and I wasn't expecting it. And that's the thing with football. 1 minute you can have your mind set on one thing, and then literally 12 hours later you can be totally somewhere else. And I think that was what it was like. I think I was at the Wednesday, I was playing golf with my mate. Thursday morning, I was staying in a hotel in Ipswich and ready to go training. So it's crazy how it all works. But Mick McCarthy's someone that you always respect, and you look at his career and what he's achieved. And if someone like that rings you and asks you to go and play for his team, then you don't say no. Yeah,
that must be an interesting experience. I've spoken to a few other players who had loan spells at different clubs. That's the first loan spell you had in your career. So as you said, you were playing golf one day and the next day you were at a hotel and ready to train. How was that experience?
Yeah, it is weird because you get when you're at a club, you're settled, you know all the lads. And even though you're an adult, if the next day you're at a totally different club and you're going in there, it's like your first day at school. You're a bit nervous and a bit shy. You have to go in and you have to go meet everyone. and it just puts you out your comfort zone a bit. And so that was my first experience of being on loan. But as soon as after your first 20 minutes there, you meet the players and the manager and stuff like that, and you start getting used to how they do things. And after a couple of days, you're like, that's it, you're settled in really. Then, and I think once you play your first game, that's it, you're kind of accepted. But yeah, it's really hard. The first morning's always hard. But as you say, it's like you feel like it's your first day at school again.
Can you remember which players sort of helped you, adjusting to the team?
Luke Chambers straight away. Yeah, came up and he was the one. He showed me around. He introduced me to everyone. So he's such a nice guy. He came up and he was talking to me like he'd known me for years, which is great. So and I don't think I knew anyone there at the time. I think Daryl Murphy I'd been played with in the Ireland under-21. So and again, they're players that you've been playing against for the last 10 years of your career, really, in the Championship. So I did know most of the lads and played against them on the pitch.
Yeah. Of course, at the time, Ipswich were bringing a lot of players on loan, so you weren't sort of alone during that time. We had a few players on loan, at the time there.
Exactly, yeah, and it was a good achievement to stay up as well, because it'd been a tough start to the season, and obviously Mick McCarthy come in and steadied the ship and got the team going in the right direction. But I know we'd stayed up before the last game of the season, which is great as well. So that was good.
Did you, were you in contact with Reading because you had some impressive performances for Town? Were Reading in contact about? You're out of contract at Reading. Was there anything else?
Oh no, I was done. I knew I was going to be leaving anyway. I think the Brian McDermott had left, and Nigel Adkins come in, and I think he called me at the end of the season. He's like, "Oh, look, do you want to come back in and train because the Premiership season's still going?" And I just had an honest conversation with him. I said, "Look, I don't think you're going to want me around next year. I'm quite high, quite low down in the pecking order with midfielders, and it's time for me to move on, really." And then before the season ended, Mick McCarthy said he wanted me to sign me, so I was pretty sure that I was going to sign for Ipswich, so I didn't see the point in going back into training at Reading. So yeah, it was quite an easy conversation, and just said to me, I want to see my contract out and be leaving.
Cool. Then you signed for Ipswich on a permanent deal. Did you?
Yeah.
Were you living in London still, or did you find a place around Suffolk way?
No, yeah. As soon as I knew I was signing there, I kind of went down and had a look around a few places and got rented an apartment down there. Down by the Salthouse Hotel, so that was nice. Yeah, it's a nice little spot. And yeah, I settled in really well there straight away. Joined the golf club, which because I love my golf, and living in Suffolk and playing for Ipswich was such a good. I loved it. It was really good memories. I really enjoyed my time there.
Yeah. Then going on to your proper permanent debut. Of course, you scored against the team. Reading. That must have been a surreal. I know we lost the game 2-1, but it's still great to score on your permanent debut against your old team.
Oh, it was, yeah. I mean, I've been at Reading, and it was a little bit of a kind of running joke. I've never scored for him. My kind of role as a player had changed a lot from when the previous clubs I've been at. I was more of a defensive player at Reading, and just never really managed to score. I had quite a few chances, and never happened. It kind of dragged on, and then to score my first game back there for Ipswich's class, I loved it. All my family were there watching as well, and they went mad. They were in the Ipswich end, and they were jumping around. And yeah, it's a shame. We could have maybe won. To lose 2-1 was a bit unfair, I thought. But yeah, I remember that game really well, and to score, I was very happy.
Yeah. What's your memories from that first full season for you? Any good stories? We finished 9th that season, but Mick was still sort of building his team. This is his first full season at the club, so he's bringing in different players and getting rid of the deadwood and maybe the bad characters. But what's your memories from that season?
Yeah, no, it was like a fresh start for me as well. I've been at Reading, and I've gone from Reading, where I was like a kind of steady Eddie and just do my job when I'm told, to went to Ipswich, and Mick had kind of made me more attacking again and wanted me getting forward and creating chances and scoring goals. So it was definitely a fresh start, and like we kind of have another crack at it really, which is good. And I really enjoyed my time in that first season. As I say, I think for a lot of the season we were kind of up there, and I think we just kind of fell away from the playoff picture just towards the end. But it was definitely a successful season when you consider where we were the season before that. So yeah, good memories from that season. Yeah,
of course, at the time as well, Darryl and David McGaudry, they both signed permanently as well. They had a few loan spells. Like Darryl was on loan like 4 times, and he finally signed on a permanent deal. So it must have been nice to be reunited with them guys as well. Now signed permanently. Now you're actually an Ipswich player.
Yeah, and you could see that Mick was trying to build something, and obviously keeping them up the season before. Then he had that opportunity to then go and start building a squad, and that's what he did in his time there. Did it well.
Yeah. Then I want to just bring up one lone player as well, Johnny Williams. How good was he? That was his first season coming on loan.
He was class. Yeah, and I think we signed some really good loan players. Him and Ryan Fraser, really talented players, and Johnny was class. He was no exception. He was really good, and come in, and he's a kind of. I think he was playing in my position most of the time, but he was great to watch, and if you're on the bench and he's starting, then you've got no arguments really, because he did so well, and I think he got injured at a crucial time for us that season, like not far from the end of the season when we were up there fighting. And I think when he got injured, that kind of our form dipped a little bit after that.
Yeah, that was a terrible injury as well. I think against Watford.
I remember at home, terrible challenge,
Then the next season, of course, we got into the playoffs. And before we go on and talk about that great season, I want to talk about one of your goals. You probably know this is coming up. The Bolton goal, the Middlesbrough goal, that header. How did you beat the defender to that?
I know, yeah. I've always been okay in the air. I've got a little bit of a leap on me, and it was just I've seen it time and time again, and it was a good little move down the right. And I just think as Teddy Bishop ripped it in, I just got the timing was there. I just got the leap a little bit ahead of the defender, and once I was in the air, I just kind of got to lean on him and put it in. But yeah, it's one of my favourite goals in my career, to be honest with you. I remember at the time I was so happy with it, because I hadn't scored for a while either, so it was nice to score a goal like that.
Yeah. Of course, that was the season we got in the playoffs. Unfortunately, we lost against Norwich in the semis. But what was the story behind? Just, I know it's been chatted about so many times, but for you as a player, part of that squad, what was is it just the bond everyone had, and just we just had that extra quality?
He did, yeah, and I think everyone respected the manager. I think he'd built a squad that he was happy with, and yeah, I think we were just a really good, solid squad. And I think getting to the playoffs was a good achievement that year. Maybe we could have pushed on a little bit and gone for the automatic places, but I think the Championship is such a competitive league, and if you get into the playoffs, you've done well. And yeah, I think we worked so hard to get into the playoffs that come the Norwich game, I think we just run out of a little bit of steam maybe. But yeah, again, if you think you're back in your career and getting into the playoffs in the Championship and playing against your local rivals in the playoffs is something that you're going to remember with kind of good memories, really.
Yeah. Of course, you scored a late winner against Bolton. That must have been another good moment for you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it wasn't the greatest strike in the world, but I remember inside the box. I knew my role under Mick McCarthy. I knew what he expected of me and what he wanted, and he's an easy man to play for, because you just got to make sure you work hard and don't let him down. And that's why I think I made quite a good few appearances under him, and I think that's why you like put him in the team sometimes.
Yeah, I think the weekend after that Bolton game, we beat Watford 1-0. The Chaplow late winner was.
Oh yeah,
that was scenes. That was just madness.
Yeah, that was amazing. I remember that as well. We had some really good performances that season, and I say there were times where I think we could have been pushing for the top two as well, and just kind of fell short of that. But yeah, I remember that. And Watford were kind of challenging at the top as well that season. They might have even won the league. I'm not too sure, but yes. So to go and win away 1-0 was good fun. Makes the journey home a lot easier as well.
Yeah. Did you in January, as players, did you sort of think, could we bring some more players in to strengthen the squad? Or did you feel like we've got enough to get over the line? Of course, we brought Freddie in and stuff.
Yeah, I always thought we had enough. I just think for one reason or another, you do need a bit of luck when you're getting promoted, because there are games where it can go either way, and you need them to go your way. And a couple of times, I think we played Bolton away, and we drew, and they scored a last-minute penalty and stuff like that. And if things like that don't happen, then that's the difference between kind of getting that second spot or being in the playoffs. So yeah, I don't think we could have done any more really with who we signed. I think we had a pretty solid squad, and was happy with who we had.
Who did you get along with the most during your time at the club? Who was your sort of roommate and stuff?
I actually roomed on my own. We had the choice there. You could have a room with someone, or you could pay a little bit extra and room on your own. No, I usually room on my own. I got on well with all the lads. To be honest with you. Luke Chambers got on really well with Jonathan Douglas when he turned up. Too nice. It's hard to kind of single out anyone, but it was a good squad. A squad that you feel happy and comfortable in. But Luke Chambers was always the main man who'd keep everyone together and happy. And he's a good friend.
Yeah. Then the following season, did Mick sort of say to you that you're not going to be really in my plans, because you only played, of course, cup games during that last season? Was that sort of a conversation you had with Mick?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, at the start of the season. Yeah, he was like, "Look, I'm going to be looking at different areas and different options and stuff like that." And I was happy with that. I said, "Look, I'm happy here." I was a bit older at the time. I said, "Look, I don't want to go on loan. I'm happy where I live. I'm happy here with training, playing for you with all the lads." So I said that I don't want to go on loan unless something comes up that's going to benefit me. So I think the only option I could have done was in the summer. Fulham were interested, but they were only offering me a 1-year deal, and it wasn't as good as money as Ipswich as well. So as much as Fulham would have been a good move for me to go back to London and be close to my friends and family, financially it wouldn't have been the right thing for me to do. So I was just like, no. I think if they'd have offered me 2 years on less money, I would have taken it. But there's only offered me a year on less money, so there was no point really. So yeah, I just said to the Mick, I'll stay here and I'll train all the time, and if you need me to play for you, I will. But yeah, I don't really want to go anywhere. Happy to stay here.
Yeah. Then, of course, one of those cup games was against Man United at Old Trafford. What was that experience like? Of course, a lot of us fans were like very surprised when we saw the lineup. We were like, that is very, no offence to you guys, it was a very weak squad.
It was, but I think that's the approach you're taking with the cup games that season. He was always going to save the kind of first team players and concentrate on the league. So, yeah, he stuck to his word and he gave the lads who'd won in the, I think, was it? I don't know, but we beat Stevenage in the round before, I think. So he stuck with those lads and said, look, you can go and play again. And it was a really good experience. I know we lost 3-0, but we didn't deserve to lose that by that amount. It was a young, inexperienced team, and I think we put ourselves well that night. Yeah,
to be fair, I think you held on for, mate, because once again, Man United, they weren't mucking about. You know, Wayne Rooney started, De Gea was in goal. You know, Herrera, Schweinsteiger.
Yeah, they had a strong side. Yeah, exactly. It's not like we weren't battered. You know, it was we gave a good account of ourselves, but I think they got 2 late goals, and that made the scoreline look like we've been trounced when we hadn't been really.
Yeah, but you know, there's a few players. I'm looking at the Ipswich Town squad there. There's a few of those players who may never have an opportunity to play at Old Trafford. You know, it must have been great for them.
Yeah, exactly, and that's when you respect the manager for doing that, because he could have easily said, "Oh no, I'm going to put the first team lads back in," but no, he didn't. He stuck to his guns, and a lot of youngsters got a chance to play at Old Trafford, and not a lot of people get a chance to say they've done that. So I'm sure a lot of them would appreciate it as well.
Yeah, I want to quickly bring up. You probably heard this before about the Fabulous Tabb Twitter page. Yeah. Of course, you weren't running that. You'd have nothing at all, but. You know, you of course got in trouble apparently from Mick because of this page.
Yeah, I know. I've never been on Twitter in my life. And he just called me in one day. I think the person who was running it must have said something a little bit controversial, and the gaffer called me in and said, "Oh, what's all this?" And I said, "It's not me." So yeah, I don't know who it is, don't know what they're doing, but yeah, I just said that it's not me, nothing I can do about it. And I think they tried to find out who it was to get it taken down, but I'm not too sure how that worked out really. But yeah, no, I've never been on Twitter in my life, so whoever it is, good luck to them.
Yeah. Then, of course, then you left town. Did you know you were sort of going to retire? You know, your last game for the club was against Portsmouth in the FA Cup game. At that point, you know, did you feel...
I kind of made my mind up that, in the summer I was going to call it a day. I was 32. And then Mum passed away in April that year, and it just makes you look at life a bit differently. Yeah. I wasn't really in love with football as much as I was at the start of my career. And I just thought, life is short to be living away from family all the time, and you're not doing something you don't enjoy, then time to do something else. So, unless something perfect had come up in the summer, I knew I was going to be calling it a day.
Yeah. Did you move back then to London, closer to home?
Yeah, I moved back straight away. Literally as soon as the season finished, I was back home. Just had a little bit of time off, spent time with family and friends and stuff like that. But yeah, it's quite weird because you go from being a footballer to not literally overnight. And I went up on trial with Burton Albion for a little bit because I could have lived up where I used to live when I was playing for Coventry there with one of my brothers. So that would have been an option I'd have looked into. But I went on trial there for a couple of weeks, but it didn't really work out. So yeah, after that, there was a couple of other offers I got from teams around London in the lower leagues, but I'd made my mind up that I wanted to call it a day, so that's what I did.
Yeah. Then, did you have a plan from when you retired? Did you feel like you were going to get into maybe coaching, or was there an amateur lined up?
No, I never really fancied doing that, to be honest with you. Yeah. I just thought, I'll have a little bit of time off, play some golf and see friends and stuff like that, spend time with family, and then kind of wait and see what I want to do long term. But no, I didn't really have a plan set out, but I haven't been married and haven't got kids, so I didn't have that pressure to find something straight away. I could kind of have to look after myself, really. So that's what I did until I found out what I wanted to do long term.
Yeah. Then of course, a lot of us town fans were wondering what sort of was going on with you in terms of you retired, and normally we always like check out where the other former players have joined different clubs, and then you popped up playing rugby, and that was interesting.
Yeah, that's something I always wanted to do. Yeah. So, I come from a rugby family. My brothers, my cousins all play. And whenever I used to have international breaks, I'd always go and watch my brothers and cousins play from my old school team, Old Wimbledonians. Yeah. I just thought, as soon as I finished the footy, I want to go and start playing rugby on a Saturday again. Give me something to look forward to the end of the week, and keep me playing sport, keep me fit. So yeah, that's what I was like. Right, straight away, going to go and play rugby with the boys, and that was great fun as well. We had some really good, memorable games for them. So it was just nice to play with my brother and my two cousins. So that was good fun.
Yeah. I think I read that you were very close to getting to Twickenham.
We were, yeah. We played in like a national competition, and we got all the way to the semi-finals, and it was just one of those. We were like quite an open team. Like played running rugby, and it was one of those weekends in April where it's just snowed and it didn't stop, and a few of our players couldn't get to the game because of the snow. And the team we were playing against were, they were more equipped to the weather conditions than us, and it wasn't meant to be. They gave us a bit of a trouncing, but if it had been any other weekend, we'd have probably won. But yeah, it just didn't work out, and we had a few injuries that week as well. So if we'd have won that, we'd have been on the way to Twickenham. Yeah,
as you mentioned, when you're signed for Ipswich on loan, you're a golfer, and you proved that as well. You won a golf tournament, I think, during your time at Ipswich. Did you always play golf when you were a youngster, or did you?
Yeah, no, I kind of started playing golf when I was about 14, really. Yeah. And I said, it's one of those sports I love. I'm kind of hooked on it. I love playing whenever I can. And yeah, I was lucky enough I was part of the pro-am at Wentworth with Rafa Cabrera and two other lads as well. And that was a great experience. So you get to play in the pro-am the day before the tournament starts. And to be fair, it's still quite busy. A lot of fans come to watch it because I think it's free entry, so they get to see the players up close and personal. So, I mean, you go from playing football in front of a big crowd where you feel comfortable to run hit a golf shot in front of a big crowd. Definitely a different feeling, but something I really enjoyed, and that's probably one of the things I look back on and the good fun memories in my life is winning that pro-am, because it was a great fun day.
Yeah. Then I want to bring your musical side again. You probably expected me to bring this up as well. Your classical music and Paddy piano. Like during this lockdown, luckily my missus, she's got her own piano because she plays it, and I've been trying my best to practice and at least do some good notes. But I've heard you're very good.
No, that's one of the things that media have always blown out of proportion, really.
Okay.
They've always made it sound like I'm a classical pianist. That's not it's just one of those things. When I was a commentary, I thought in my spare time I try and learn how to play the piano, and for a while I was okay. I got to like grade 4 kind of level, and I play all right, but I haven't played it in years, to be honest with you. I still love classical music and listen to it and love going to concerts, but as far as the piano goes, no. I mean, if you put one in front of me now, I'd probably forgotten it all. But it was good fun to learn it at the time, and nice to do it, but I'm by no means can I just sit down and start playing whatever I want. No way.
Yeah, me neither. In terms of classical music, like of course the younger lads, they're probably playing the modern stuff and everything. Did you ever play it to some of the lads just to sort of go,
I'd never risk it. I think I'd get a bit they'd take the mick out of me a bit too much, to be honest with you, so I kept that to myself.
And then in terms, of course, your racehorsing and jockey and stable lad and stuff. Like, how did that sort of come about? Were you always interested in that?
Not always. When I was younger, I wasn't. And then when I was signed for Coventry, my roommate was a guy called Ben Turner. He was massively into this horse racing, so he'd always have it on, and I kind of started getting a little bit of an interest. And then we got together a syndicate, and we owned a horse, and then went to go and watch him train and stuff like that. And whenever I went to the stables, I always loved the atmosphere around there. And then when you see them riding horses, you think, God, that'd be amazing to do that one day. And I never thought I would. But then, after a couple of years of being retired, I wasn't too sure what I was going to do. And then I found a course at the Northern Racing College where you could go and learn how to look after and ride horses. And I'd always wanted to kind of live in the countryside rather than stay in the city for my whole life. So I thought if I was going to live in the country, then I need to be doing something to keep myself busy and earning money. And riding horses was something that seemed like the obvious choice, so that's where I went and did the course. Yeah.
What was Cheltenham like, that experience? Because you popped up on our telescreen like a lot of town fans sort of then went, Jay Tabb.
It's amazing. So I've always watched Cheltenham and been a massive fan of it. Each year I'd always make sure I take time off to stay in and watch the 4 days, and then this year, my first year working in racing, I got the chance to take a horse to the festival and lead him up, and that was unreal. Such a good experience, and he's been a good horse for me this year because I look after him and ride him every day, and to lead him up at Cheltenham was a really good experience, and especially after always watching it myself, to actually be there and leading the horse around the parade ring was good fun. And I wasn't expecting the TV camera to be put in my face, but that was quite good as well.
Do you think you'll go on to ride and be a jockey?
Yeah, maybe in a charity race or something like that. But it's more of a lifestyle, really. It's just something that I can get up every day and do and get paid for and enjoy as well. So so some parts I do love it. Yeah. But if I could ride in a charity race one day, that'd be good fun.
Cool. Do you speak much about your career? Of course, it's not been that long since you retired, but in terms of your current job, do you speak much about it? Do they ask you about it?
Yeah, sometimes like a lot of the lads are into football, so they'll ask me about like what it's like being a footballer and playing and stuff like that. So I'll always chat to them about it. And obviously, sometimes you do these interviews like this where you get to look back on your career and talk about it. So, but yeah, I'm totally focused on what I'm doing now. To be honest with you, yeah, I'm very grateful for playing football and my time as a footballer. But it's not something I desperately miss and I wish I was still doing. But yeah, whenever I talk about it, I'm always really, really grateful for what I did and love looking back on the memories and stuff like that.
I think you, because I'm a photographer, so I'm normally pitch side, but then I was told that you did commentary for an Ipswich game, I think this season. Yeah, I don't know what game it was.
Yeah, it was against Exeter in one of the cup games. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a disappointing.
Yeah, I thought it was a good performance actually. It was the first time I'd ever done commentary, and it was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, especially trying to knowing what to say and how to put it across and stuff like that. But I imagine if you did it every week, you'd get more comfortable and know what you're doing. But yeah, it was actually a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. But I did enjoy it as well, and thought if you played well that day, they were just a bit unlucky. It was literally the last second goal, wasn't it? Lee Martin scored. So yeah, but it was good fun doing it. Good experience to see what it's like to commentate on a game.
Yeah. And then I just want to quickly bring up your Irish connection. Of course, you're born to Irish parents. Like, of course, you won caps for the under-21s, but unfortunately didn't play for the senior team. But did get called up. What's your experience like? And did you know you were going to play maybe for Ireland?
I didn't know at the start, but I think they showed they are. I think it was my manager at Brentford at the time knew I had kind of Irish relatives, and mentioned it to the Ireland under-21 manager, and they asked me if I would go and play for him. So definitely, that's a massive honour to go and do that. So yeah, I made a good few appearances for the under-21s, and then travelled with the seniors. So yeah, again, it's something you look back on and you think, to say that you've done that is a good achievement and another kind of feather in the cap, really. So yeah, it was a huge honour to play for Ireland. So I've got a lot of Irish family, so to represent Ireland at under-21 level and then travel with the seniors is just it's really something I'm pretty proud of.
Yeah. In terms of now you're doing what you're doing, do you stay in contact with any of your former teammates at Ipswich or any other clubs?
Yeah, I do. I speak to Ben Turner quite a lot. Jonathan Douglas, I still him at Cheltenham actually when I had a drink with him.
That's cool.
Every now and then you'll get a little WhatsApp. I spoke to Noel Hunt the other day as well. So yeah, you do. It's not like you speak to everyone all the time, but every now and then you'll have a little WhatsApp message with someone, and you kind of look back on games and think back to games and always kind of remember players that you played with, and if people are still playing now, you'll look at their results on a Saturday and see how people are getting on. But yeah, there's a few lads I speak to quite regularly.
There's of course I think you played in that game against you did actually against when Noel Hunt scored that late winner against Charlton. That was another mad day.
Exactly, yeah, I think that was on Sky Sports as well. I remember that game as well. Yeah, Noel he's a great character. He's a good friend as well. He's probably one of my best friends I've made playing football. Yeah, he's definitely up there. There's a few lads that I definitely would class as good friends who you'd still go and meet for a pint now and have a chat with, and Noel's one of those. Yeah.
Well, I don't want to take more of your time up, Jay, but thank you so much for that. And
it's good talking to you.
Keep safe, mate.
Cheers, you too. Thanks for that.
Bye-bye.
From true crime to football, Brexit to folklore. For more great podcasts from Archon, head to audioboom.com/channel/Archon. Archon, head to audioboom.com/channel/Archon.